Hi, I'm Bobbi Randall, and I am reading for Bearing Witness. I am 70 years old, returning to the place where my life began, at a mother and baby home in Roscrea, Tipperary, Ireland, where I was born. I'm about to unearth some of Ireland's darkest secrets. The Sisters of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary managed the Sean Ross Abbey home from 1931 to 1969. Honestly, I don't know why it's called a mother and baby home. In truth, it was an institution where young mothers were shamed into silence, where babies died and disappeared and identities were erased. For most of my life, I had thought I'd been given up willingly for adoption. My adopted family didn't know any of the details of my life before they met me. I could never remember anything about my past or my birth mother. That absence shaped everything. There was no medical history, no origin myth, no language to explain the deep sorrow I carried. I always felt forgotten, voiceless. On the plane ride to Ireland, I looked out the window, watching clouds shift like soft ghosts. I thought about my trip to Ireland 40 years ago, when I came searching for my mother, only to be sent away with no answers. This time it's different. Since then, the Irish government has been investigating the events that occurred in these religious institutions. The anticipation hummed under my skin. 1,090 babies died suspiciously while in the care of the Sacred Heart nuns. When the plane landed, I moved quickly to catch the bus to Trinity College in Dublin, where I would meet the rest of the group for orientation. I'm participating in a practice called Bearing Witness, with a group that travels to different sites of trauma to honor victims. We plan to read the names of the almost 1,090 babies who died. On the first day, we bused to Sean Ross Abbey. We chatted and looked out at a landscape of lush green rolling hills dotted with cattle and baby lambs. The retreat leader spoke. We will be arriving at the Abbey in about 10 minutes. Let's take this time to reflect upon our journey ahead and be silent for the rest of the ride. A quiet hush descended upon us, the air thick with expectancy. The bus hissed to a stop. Rain drizzled against the windows, a steady tapping like fingernails on glass. I stepped off the bus, and the cool air hit my face, and I inhaled sharply. The abbey loomed ahead, surrounded by fields of grass, weeds, and tall oak trees. A large crucifix and a statue of Mother Mary were off in the distance. The giant wooden door painted red and the gray-colored buildings remained unchanged. There were no traces of the children or mothers who once lived there. We entered the vestibule, and the light reflected on the stained glass windows, casting muted colors across the floor. My chest felt heavy, like I was carrying someone else's memories in my body, and maybe I was. As we entered, a woman stood up front to talk. I lived in this home until the age of 2. I know I am one of the lucky ones because I made it out of there. I could have been one of the babies wiped from the records, no trace left behind. She stood solid in her footing and said, "We are still here." I felt these words deep in my bones. The voiceless nagging caught in my throat again. It happened to me. I walked down to the basement to the windowless birthing rooms. I gasped at the condition of these rooms, dark and dingy with no heat and no running water. Just above the rooms was the nuns' dining hall. I imagined the women in labor beneath the nuns' feet, suffering without pain relief, without dignity. I wondered about the night of my birth. We gathered outside in a circle on the soft earth. The chairs were arranged with quiet care beneath a sky that couldn't decide whether to rain or shine. The wind moved across the field, the scent of moss and something older, like turned soil, damp stone, forgotten memories. The grass beneath my feet was uneven, wild in places. I slipped off my shoes, dirt squishing beneath my toes, needing to feel grounded on Mother Earth who holds the tiny bones of discarded babies. We held a ceremony, calling on the protector of children as we entered Angel's plot, the ground where so many of those children were buried. A 2019 government investigation identified only 42 graves. Only 42. What happened to the rest? Many were malnourished. Many simply disappeared. Many lay in these unmarked graves, no headstones, no markers, just a few trinkets left by visitors over the years. We lined our chairs up so we were facing the four directions with the statue of Mary in the center. I lowered myself onto a weathered plastic chair, the legs sinking slightly into the soft earth. Around me, others sat in silence. We each held papers filled with names of deceased children. I faced east and spoke the names out loud. Baby boy, 2 weeks. Michael Burke, 3.5 months. Mary Alice, 3 months old. The names echoed through the wind. Alice Keating, 2 months. Baby Delaney, 10 minutes. After we read the names, I walked the grounds and found Sister Hildegard's grave, the superior nun who oversaw all adoptions, who refused reunions between mother and children, even when both begged for information to find each other. It happened to me. Standing at her graveside, I flinched at the sound of footsteps behind me, as if expecting a nun to appear from the shadows. I could feel the outline of grief pressing up under my skin. The hairs at the back of my head rose, my pulse hammering in my ears. I fixed my eyes on the carved name in front of me, and anger surged upward, raw and jagged, scraping against my ribs. My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. I wanted to scream at the ground, to demand answers. Instead, I stood trembling, my rage a living thing. I wanted to spit on her grave. I broke down in tears. Later, in our council circle, we sat around our makeshift altar in the afternoon light. I brought my Irish baby's shoes and placed them on the altar. A participant picked up a shoe and it became our talking stick. The shoe passed from one hand to another hand as each person shared. A woman who had lived at one of the other mother and baby homes, held the shoes tenderly. I have no pictures, no clothes, no shoes, and the home has been destroyed. I have no witnesses to the beginning of my life. Thank you for helping me to heal. I wanted to stand up and speak, but the words escaped me. That evening at dinner, we sat in quiet clusters, our eyes glassy with emotion. Our time together was coming to an end, but that evening we sang songs. We laughed and found joy in one another. On our final morning, we returned to Angel's Plot. A gentle mist hung in the air. The chairs were arranged in a circle beneath a sky with hanging dark clouds, as if it too was holding its breath. The wind made its way through our circle like it had permission. I shifted in my seat, feeling the familiar swell of being small again, forgotten, voiceless. I tucked my hands into my coat pockets, pressing my fingertips together. As I began to speak, the clouds parted and the sun appeared. My heart opened. I could see and feel the compassion in each person's gaze. Good morning, everyone. I am really nervous to share my story. I lived here with my birth mother until I was 3 years old. My adopted family in America did not have any idea that I was taken from my birth mother against her will. I have no memories of my early childhood. It was years before I learned about my past and the family I left behind in Ireland. I wasted so many years believing I was not wanted, not good enough, damaged goods. But the truth was that I lived here for years with a birth mother who had wanted to keep me. All the while, plans were being made to take me from her and to send me across the ocean. I was sold to America at the age of 3. As we read, as we read the names of the 1,090 babies who died, I felt the presence of the baby spirits, and I understood for the first time that I am a survivor. Today, I am no longer a secret and orphan, motherless child. I have come full circle and found my way home to myself. Today, I reclaim my history and forgive the unforgivable. Thank you for bearing witness with me. As I walked away, I was forever changed. I knew I would become more involved as a special advocate for survivors. I would become a voice for others who were struggling to find out the truth about their past. I would become a voice. Thank you.